it's imperative that you show up to give testimony. They have so many bills in front of them that they automatically prioritize. And if people don't show up for a bill that's dealing with a matter that's extremely important to them, chances are it's going to fall by the wayside. And so they emphasize that to the organizations and let us know, do not sit on a bill that you're trying to get passed. Get yourself, the organization members, as many as you can to show up. That gets their attention and it becomes prioritized. Also, last month, as you all remember from my report last month, that the county executive Stuart Pippen asked me to participate in an interview with the two candidates for executive director to Police Accountability Board. And I sat in and interviewed both of them with the county executive and one other person from his staff. And if you recall last week, I emphasized that one of them had nothing on their resume about assisting people outside of prosecuting people, working for insurance company against people. And I was very disturbed. I didn't see anything like being a member of the NAACP, being a member of Feed the Children, being a member of NAN, anything like that. One person had, I think, one thing on there, and that caught my attention. I questioned her about that to find out what type of work she was doing in the community. And she was explaining how she was out feeding the homeless, even though she was an attorney working for the state. She was actively involved in that. And that was the determining factor for me to recommend that she be the one selected as a new executive director of the Police Accountability Board. And I'm pleased to announce that on March 27, 2023, the county executive accepted my recommendation, and she was appointed the new executive of the Police Accountability Board. Her name is Moya Panda. Okay, glad the NAACP had influence there. Another thing I want to share is that we finally, congratulations to the NAACP, got us a long-term place to meet. If you recall, President Emeritus also was working on this before she left office, trying to find one place for us to meet. Because when you go to these, at least personally, when I've been to some of these banquets and all, people are like, Reverend Jones, where are you? Where y'all meeting, sir? And if I don't have the paper in front of me, I didn't know. And so one of the things that was on my agenda in a major way was find us a permanent location, at least long-term, where we could meet every month. And because there's some seniors who are asking me, where you going? I ain't traveling all around the county trying to find y'all. And so we finally got a place. The place is Michael E. Bush Annapolis Library, 1410 West Street, Annapolis, 21401. And we will begin meeting there next month. For those who may not be familiar with Michael E. Bush Annapolis Library, it was built like in 2021, 2 years ago. So it's actually still kind of new. And the particular room that, because I wanted to go and see it because I want first-rate room for us. And the room she showed me, she actually, Reverend Jones, we haven't really even been written this room out to anybody or allowed anybody to use the room. So the room, it smells new, y'all. And so when I walked in, I said, that's what I'm talking about. This is what we want. And so we're going to have that room. The only condition is in September, somebody already rented out almost the whole library. So in September, that's going to be the one meeting where we have to go someplace else. But other than September, we will be meeting there starting next month until the end of the year. It's a beautiful room. It's internet wired, so we'll be able to do whatever we need to do in terms of hybrid meetings. And there's a screen that comes down with a projector. We want to show something. I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous. However, I have to say this to you. Keep in mind, it's a library. So the chairs are rubber. They're not designed for you sitting there no 2-3 hours. They kind of designed, read your book, go about your business. And so, but the room is so gorgeous and so fresh and clean. I said, we'll get around the rubber chairs. And so what I did do, and I want everybody to notice, I did talk to our treasurer to go do some research for me and finding a couple chairs with cushion in them because we got senior members who attend the meetings. And I was thinking about if we could get maybe 5 of these cushions, the treasurer did some research for me. I'm going to pass this around so everybody take a look at it. We can get about 5 of these chairs, not only for the president, vice president, but for at least two more chairs for our senior members. And if 3 senior members come up, I'll give them my chair before anybody. No problem about that. So I want you to think it's just about the leadership. It's about making sure the people who actually come and travel, especially if they're of senior age, they can sit on a chair with some cushioning. So I ask that you all take a look at this. Probably the executive board meeting next month, I'm gonna be asking for approval to get them. But look at that. That's the most comfortable chair that the treasurer researched and found for me. And so please take a look at that. And that's what I have in mind, making sure our senior members are comfortable sitting in this library because the chairs are literally cushionless. Okay. And finally, what I want to share is that The reason why we don't have a secretary today is because Ms. Richardson, our secretary, decided to resign for some personal reasons. And what I want to do is, I didn't have anything to do with her becoming the secretary. I didn't have no involvement in that, so I didn't really know her. But what I want to do, I want everybody to know that I will be personally involved in our new secretary, because it's very important to me, and I'm saying this just in general, but in particular because this happened, it's very important to me that we never allow our personal views to take precedence over the charter goals of the NAACP. What are the charter goals of the NAACP? In 1909, the NAACP's charter states that it would champion equal rights and the elimination of racial prejudice, and it will also advocate to advance the interests of colored people in the areas of education, employment, voting rights, and legal justice. That is our charter goal. So whenever you have a view that's against some person or against some work that we're doing, do not let that take precedence over the charter goals of the NAACP. Everybody here is a volunteer. I think just about everybody has a full-time job, and some of you may have two careers like Reverend Jones. And so we are working together so the burden doesn't fall heavy on, in particular, one person. Even if we disagree, it can never take precedence over the charter goal of the NAACP. The work is too great and too important. And so I wanted to say, everybody, I will be actively involved with the new secretary to make sure she understands what the charter goal, or he understands what the charter goal is of the NAACP, and we can stay focused on that. Even if we have some disagreements about some things, that's irrelevant compared to what we're trying to do. Too much work needs to be done to help our community. And the way society is going, I'm telling people, why you're not a member of the NAACP? We need the NAACP even more so now, in light of the racial animus that we're seeing sweeping the country. So you have got to understand that's our goal. So we come together, preferably, my preference, we come together and love one another, support one another, and like the burden on one another. So that's why I asked if the people could possibly those who are in leadership positions, try to show 50% of the time. I'm not asking you to walk away from your job. I'm not asking you to put your job in jeopardy. That's silly. I'm asking you, make arrangements if possible. If not, understand. But if possible, I think the leadership should try to show up at least 50% of the time. So when people come here who are not part of leadership, like, where the leadership at? You asking me to come to me, Reverend Dog, you talking to me at the banquet, asking me to come in, where the leadership? And so I don't want us to be looking that way. And so that's all I want to share from the president's report. And at this point here, as I shared at the beginning of the meeting, we're gonna hold all our questions until the end. Please jot down your questions if you have any questions for anybody giving a report, and we'll return to that at the end of the meeting. Okay, so at this point, brothers and sisters, what I'd like to do is I'd like to go to the first vice president and get his report. Or if you'd be so kind, everybody end on time and exit this beautiful sanctuary.
Thank you so much. I did provide a brief report. One of the main issues that I mentioned was I attended a hearing of the Board of Appeals for the county regarding environmental justice issue down in Lothian that our environmental justice chair, Dr. Tracy Garrett, has been working on for many years. And it's regarding a 50-year lease that began with one goal, one purpose in mind that has ultimately changed. I don't know how many of you all in this room have heard of the issue of the reclamation site down in Lothian that we've been dealing with? None. So we've been, okay, we got one. So what's happened is there's a reclamation site, which is where construction workers or construction debris would be brought down to a landfill, basically, and dumped in there, not knowing what may be in this construction debris. As you all have seen, this entire region is gentrifying. And so all of that debris from those condo buildings being built in DC and Baltimore, Montgomery County and Anne Arundel County is coming down to the landfill in Lothian. And so Dr. Garrett and her neighbors have been extremely concerned, one, about the truck traffic that's coming out down to Lothian, but two, they've been concerned about what's in the trucks because they don't know. The original lease for that site was for a mine 50 years ago. And the Board of Appeals believes that there is no standing for the current group of residents to challenge the lease that was given 50 years ago, because they were not involved in the initial granting of the lease back in 55, I think. Yeah, it was in the 50s. So that's why the Board of Appeals rejected they accepted the appeal of the Belgrove Corporation that sought to overturn an administrative officer's determination that the lease should be rescinded. So now basically we, the NAACP, who have supported the rescission of the lease, are back at square one. We need to, it's a predominantly Black and brown area. There's 3 trailer parks down there that are predominantly Latino. We had a meeting with the county executive down there regarding a compost heap that it was horse manure that they wanted to bring to the park that used to be a landfill down there. And down there in the town hall meeting that Dr. Garrett helped organize, the county executive brought 5 different environmental issues that he had personally been working on regarding that area, Lothian in particular. And this was one of them. And so it's another, we have to strategize and get back to square one to be able to raise the alarm and 1 second and get through everything, because I only have 4 minutes. So that was my initial, that's the one thing that I feel like we needed to highlight in our report from the first vice president's side. And I was there at the Board of Appeals hearing. And we also have been working on our newsletter, and we need articles for the newsletter. Joanne Bond has been doing yeoman's work, putting together articles and compiling pictures. And we also need people to meet the community because not all of us know each other. You know, we don't really know each other. And the less we know each other, I've been in this church many times, and I appreciate Apostle Thomas for allowing us to be here. And I may not have ever come to Glen Burnie in this part of town if it hadn't been for you inviting us here. And I definitely appreciate it. So it helps me get to know this church and this community as well. So I hope that, you know, we can help our newsletter team know each other better, because that'll help us as the NAACP be able to present quarterly what events are coming up, what may have happened in the previous quarter, in pictures, as you all may have seen in our previous newsletter. Political Action Committee wise, I wanted to mention, I'm combining the 2 reports. I want to mention that we had the Caucus of African American Leaders, SURGE, the NAACP, several other organizations, CAST, that we are in coalition with and are working on, and ACLU, all these organizations that are working on civil rights issues. There were several wins this year in the state legislature, but there were also many losses. We did have, I think housing is the primary issue for Arundelians, especially Black people trying to afford to live in this county. And when President Jones and I met with Sheriff Sesker, one of the key bills that he mentioned to us was HB 1023. I also heard about this from Councilwoman Allison Pickard, which would have allowed a lock and leave period for tenants to not have their stuff thrown out on the street. Because as you all may have driven around or seen around the county, people who are have recently been evicted, landlords would just put all their belongings on the street. I actually recorded one such situation myself in Glen Burnie, and because Glen Burnie is one of the primary areas. It's the poorest part of the county. It's the oldest housing in the county, and so there's you know, it attracts Blacks and Latinos who generally have the least resources. So there's one particular company that prefers to put people's stuff out on the street. If you all have kids at Old Mill, it's down in that area. And so I recorded someone there going to grab it, people's belongings that were on the street. Anyway, one of the bills was HB 1023. It did not. Delegate Lehman, who was in Anne Arundel County, the bill came before her committee, but I didn't get the chance to speak with her. I don't think we had spoken with her at all. And the bill did not pass out of committee. We had emergency rental assistance was zeroed out of the governor's budget. That was a major issue over the past 2 years, especially. And there were, I think they put like $2 or $3 million back in the final budget that passed regarding emergency rental assistance. That was a big issue for the ACDS. And it's been a major issue for all of us to be able to have that type of funding available. I want to go to no-knock warrants. That was a big issue that we were dealing with in terms of police accountability. Delegate Acevero had a no-knock warrant bill, HB 38, that did not pass out of committee. There was I did want to say Delegate Henson had some housing bills which did very well. One passed both chambers and was signed by the governor. Is a work group on mold standards and remediation, because that's a major issue for Black children who have asthma, and I know that's a major concern for you, Apostle Thomas, as you know, you've been working on smoking cessation for so long. But that's a bill that Delegate Henson sponsored, and she worked to get co-sponsors and was eventually passed and signed by the governor to get a work group on mold standards and remediation. There was another bill back to police accountability on independent investigations division from the Office of Attorney General, given their authority to prosecute. That was a bill that the NAACP supported, which would allow the Attorney General to investigate and prosecute. It would remove prosecutorial authority from the local state's attorneys and give it to Anthony Brown as the Attorney General for the state. And his office would be able to prosecute deaths in custody and officer-involved shootings. Because as we've seen, we had 2 deaths, we had 2 officer-involved shootings last year in Anne Arundel County, and our state's attorney did not investigate or prosecute. She didn't prosecute them. Currently, there's an office at the state level that does the investigation, and they do not give recommendations. But now, under this change in the law, they're able to prosecute and take that authority. That's good news. Very good news. Leah Green, I wanted you to mention the correctional officers bill. Did you get a chance? Are you going to be able to talk about that during your
report?
Yeah.
No, I want to bring your report.
Yeah.
You need to move on.
Yeah.
You don't mind.
I don't mind.
Questions. You jot it down and come back at the end. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you,
all right. Well, that's I appreciate the time, and if there's other information that needs to be given in the chat, please add it in the chat, and then we can keep that for our minute.
Excellent report, Mr. Whitey. Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Downey, second vice president, you can give your report at this time.
Tech advisor, the AV guy.
I want everybody to know Mr. Downey has been a wonderful help with the leaving of our secretary. He's been amazing help with this president. We appreciate it.
All right. Good morning. Can everyone hear me? Yes. Real quick, I just have 2 items. Can you all hear me now? I think so. My apologies.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah. All right. Again, let me start over again. I got 3 minutes left. Attended a virtual meeting on April 3rd, a group called the Collective. The Collective is composed of organizations including the NAACP, Anne Arundel County AKAs, North Arundel Delta Sigma Theta, Zeta Phi Beta, Sigma Gamma Rho, 100 Black Women, and Jack and Jill. So on Sunday, April 23rd, which is next Sunday, there's going to be a community resource day held at Park Elementary School, which will cover portions of Brooklyn Park. The importance of that meeting, of that resource day, which is sponsored by Delegate Gary Simmons, who represents District 12B, is to allow county organizations and different commercial entities to share information. As Apostle Thomas mentioned, Earth Day is next Saturday. So these entities will be sharing information about their respective organizations as it pertains to how to provide better energy savings and to keep members in the community safe. So the NAACP, either myself or Brother Ralph Thomas, we will be there to have a voter registration table as we normally do as a part of our community engagement. But then, we encourage everyone to come out and check out this event. And if you know anyone that lives in that community, please have them to stop by as well to get information. And there may be different items that these respective organizations may be passing out at that community resource day. The next item I have on my report, as you all know, our annual Freedom Fund banquet is held in the month of November, the third Friday. This report is actually kind of outdated because I did get approval to disperse funds to put down a $500 down payment at the Annapolis Doubletree Hotel. This is kind of a part of our initial planning process as we go through the process of securing the venue for the event that we're looking to have. And again, this year's Freedom Fund banquet will be taking place on Friday, November 17th, 2023. We're definitely looking forward to planning this event. Members of the community, of our committee, we've worked very hard over the past couple of years to not only use this as a fundraising event, but also to recognize members in the community that are doing the work that the NAACP appreciates and recognizes in order to uphold civil rights and racial equity here in our county. Other than that, that concludes my second vice president and Freedom Fund.
Thank you, Mr. Donovan. Appreciate that, sir. The next thing is we're going to go to the report of the treasurer.
Good morning. Can everyone hear me? You hear me?
Yes, sir.
The Finance Committee met and we reviewed the finances within the NAACP. And as of the end of March 31st, beginning balance in the checking account was $42,019.42. We received $1,167.35 and dispersed $15,006.39. So as of March 31st of this year, all accounts are reconciled. We currently have $28,180.38 in our checking account. It's 28,180.38. That concludes the treasurer's report.
And so the members will know Sister Jennifer Roman and Sister Neva Stansberry and myself, we had a chance to go through everything that went into the account during the month, everything that went out line by line, everything is in order. And it must be in order financially speaking for this branch. We always want to continue on that road. That's integrity. And so Mr. Thomas has done a wonderful job and we have reviewed everything. Everything is in order. At this point here, thank you, Mr. Thomas. As a matter of fact, yes, sir. Oh, yes. Oh, for the treasury report, can I get a motion? Oh, thank you, Mr. Donovan. Can I get a motion on and second?
Pending on.
So move.
Of course, pending audit, of course.
We have a motion by Tony Spencer, second by Reverend Tillett.
Reverend Tillett. Okay, thank you, Reverend Tillett. We did have a chance to review everything. As I said, everything's in order. Okay, thank you, Mr. Thomas. We appreciate that. Next week, we're going to skip the Secretary, Assistant Secretary, and Youth and College Division President because the gentleman is no longer involved here. So we're going to proceed to the reports of the committees. Is Miss Monique Brown on today? Oh, Miss Monique Brown is out of town, so we're going to proceed to Armed Services and Veterans Affairs, Mr. Curtis Jones and Reverend Tillett.
Tillett, do you have anything?
Oh, I thought it was farther down the list. I don't have a report. No report.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We'll go to
I would
Climate
like,
Justice, Dr.
while I have the floor, I would like to just raise very quickly, as you were talking about the fact that we're now at Bush Library and every month, and I just thought forward to June, and that in June, we will annually have a conflict with Juneteenth because we meet on the third Saturday and Juneteenth is typically the day before the third Monday. So like 99% of the time there's going to be a conflict. So I was going to recommend that we consider making our June meeting either the second or fourth Saturday of the month, just for that 1 month.
I see. Okay, thank you for bringing that to our attention, Reverend. I hadn't thought about that. I want to have to clear that with the library to make sure we can move it and meet at another time. I believe it shouldn't be a problem because the room hasn't really been used. And so let me do that first, clear that with them first. And if that's not possible, you know, I'm assuming that we should probably be able to find one of these places that have already committed to us for
Sure.
September and go there on our
Makes
list.
sense.
You remember the oldest we have.
Yeah.
The date is not the location.
It's the location and the date where
The particular date.
will probably be.
And I guess moving it earlier won't be a solution either. June 10th is really start all that morning. Okay, so we'll try another day, and if we have to try to move to the second, I'll just try to make sure that we get clarity from the original place where we're going to meet, and that should solve that problem. Okay, all right, thank you, Reverend Tillett. I hadn't thought about that. That's good, sir. Thank you for bringing that up.
Sure.
Okay, at this point, thank you, sir. At this point, Climate Justice, Dr. Tracy Garrett, is she on, Mr. Downing? I could proceed along. If you find that, just let us know. We'll come back, okay? So we can keep this moving. All right, we're gonna go to alphabet D6D, community coordination, Sister Sky Bailey.
Can you hear me okay?
Nice and clear.
Okay, great. So I don't know if anyone can see the report, but all of the events are listed on the link tree. So please take a look at our link tree page. And I see that it's up now on the screen. So if you just scroll down, there's a code there, and just like every month, you can go check it out. And then also at the last meeting, I know I brought in the shirt for the new shirt, the blue one that I would like to purchase for the committee for our branch. And there were a couple of people that did not remember what the design is. So I did send that out on the email. So I don't know if anybody had a chance to present that to the people that are there. And I believe I heard Ellie's voice at the beginning of the meeting. So I definitely wanted him to see it because he said he couldn't remember the design or did not see it.
I did remember seeing a copy of
I can't hear anything.
Ms. Scott, the president here, I did have a chance to look at the shirt. I want you to know that.
Okay.
It looks wonderful.
Okay, thank you. I just want to know if how to proceed so that I could either place the order or put it on hold or just how to proceed.
Yeah. Has anybody here seen the shirt?
It's up.
Oh, she passed. Okay, they passed it.
And
in.
it's on.
Okay, it's on the screen. I see. Okay. And so I believe the proper way to do that would be somebody to make a motion, someone has to second it, and we have to vote if we're gonna go ahead and support this. I personally, as a president, I don't have any problem with it. I think it's beautiful. And I don't mind having two different type of NAACP shirts. I only have that one, not a yellow one. It's kind of loud, but that blue one is nice. And so I still like it.
We want to be seen, sir.
Yes, I would like to make a motion that we accept the shirt design.
Carol Smith,
Carol Smith.
second by Reverend Stephen Tolet.
And I would like to let Miss Sky Bailey know that I'll be ordering one.
I'm sorry.
Fantastic.
Okay, everybody in favor of us getting this shirt for our NAACP? We got quite a few things we're gonna be doing in terms of parades we're gonna be in, and we can kind of switch up. Everybody in favor? Would you please raise your hand if you're in favor of us securing this new shirt for the NAACP? Everybody opposed? Okay, there's nobody in opposition. The motion is passed. We'll proceed now. Miss Sky Bailey, I'm sorry.
Question.
Just a question, Sky. Did you consider just putting an MD after Anne Arundel County? Because if we're wearing that shirt outside of Maryland, that doesn't tell anybody anything. I'm just asking.
I can do that. Can somebody put the picture back up for me, please? Okay, so you're saying on the same line where the white is, or just?
Right, exactly. So it would be white also, Anne Arundel County, comma, MD.
Let me take
Or
a
either
look.
that or parentheses MD, however you would prefer.
Okay, before I say yes to that, because I really don't remember the number count on that line. So I don't know if there is room. So let me, I'm headed out of town right now, but when I get back, I will check into that. And somebody would need to let me know how to proceed on that. So should I present it by email to everyone before ordering?
And if it's got to go to the next line, if they got to kick it down a line, then I would just say Maryland, because you don't want this MD hanging out by itself. My thought.
Right.
Well, let me just clarify something, Ms. Sky Bailey, for everybody. We voted to go forward and get the shirt. Of course, we're gonna have to come back and we start talking about the cost and what's, what you're talking about purchasing.
That was a question that Reverend Ward raised.
Oh, yeah.
How much shirt costs?
So, Ms. Sky Bailey, when you look into that, you can kind of give us some amounts, and then we can kind of revisit this in terms of approving the amount, of course, the executive board. But we in favor of the shirt. That's what the motion is about.
Okay, no problem. Okay, thank you.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you. Oh, you said it's the only other question? That's it?
We have other questions, but that was the immediate question.
Okay, let's proceed. I would like to hold the questions to the end if possible, unless it's something pressing. At this point here, we're going to proceed to act coordination. And that's Ms. Monique Brown, and she's out of town, so I know there's no report there. I'm assuming she didn't give a report.
This is.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Davis. Forgive me. I keep getting act mixed up with act. So I'm sorry, Ms. Davis. Go ahead, please.
That's okay. It happens. So my report will be on the screen. It was a brief synopsis about ACT. I'm going to put some links in the chat that where this information came from, and also wanted to recognize that Pastor Stephen Tolet is on the line and has been involved with ACT since the beginning and knows a lot more than I do. So basically, ACT is a nonpartisan organization made up of community-based organizations as well as faith-based organizations. They organize people and money so that issues can be addressed that are important to the community. They pick the issues by listening to the community and then creating research teams that look at those issues, and then they come up with solutions that they present to the powers that be to make those changes. And so some of the issues you can see on the screen that ACT has addressed include all those listed there. I won't go through them. These can all be found on the website or on their annual report. If you scroll down a little bit, you can see the member organizations of ACT as of 2022. So they believe that by pulling together our organizations as well as our money, we are more powerful as a group versus our individual organizations. They do ask each organization to commit money toward to ACT. In the past, we have pledged $600 a year, and this has been paid for us by an anonymous donor. We have not pledged anything yet for 2023. Also, ACT started out as an organization under the Industrial Areas Foundation, which is a community organization that started in the 1940s, but ACT separated from the IAF group due to some racism and sexism. And then in late 2022 and early 2023, ACT started to look at ways they can prioritize diversity, equity, inclusion, and anti-racism in their own organization. And these have been added to the bylaws, which I also put a link in the chat. There is one upcoming ACT event, which if you scroll down, you can see. I also put that in the chat. It's a countywide meeting. Currently, ACT is having listening sessions for all of its members, and they're coming back on April 25th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. to discuss what they've heard so far and to tell us if there are any new leaders who've come forward. So if you're interested in attending that countywide meeting, there's a link there, and I also put that in the chat. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. For those who may not know, Ms. Davis did submit a thorough and complete report in response to a question I had about ACT. And so she was very thorough with this. I had some questions after reading this and looking at the ACT website. And I sent my question to Reverend Tillett, who was a founding member of ACT, which I didn't know. And he responded to me in a very comprehensive way. And I had a chance to read his email this morning. I want you to know that, Reverend Tillett. And at this point here, what I would like to do is, before committing and recommend that we be committed to this, I want to attend this meeting that's coming up. And good Lord willing, I plan to be in attendance, Ms. Davis, because I want to kind of get a feel for where they are presently. Reverend Tillett answered a lot of my questions concerning this racism, discrimination, but I've never been to a meeting. I've never sat down to hear what they're talking about. So my plan right now, good Lord willing, is to be at this meeting on April the 25th to sit in personally and experience this. And so I just wanted you to know that. And so if that's the end of your report, we'll move on unless there's some questions about that that's pressing.
No, thank you. That sounds great. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Davis. Okay, let's proceed now to criminal justice. Criminal justice is paragraph 4 of my report about the county executive accepting our recommendation for the new executive director of Police Accountability Board, a young lady who had a heart for those in need and actually went out and fed and helped people. Concerning juvenile justice, is Miss Ellis on? I see, okay. She's not present. Okay. Economic development, Mr. Downing and Ms. Mushaw. Please, I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, you can give your report now, Ms. Mushaw.
Greetings all, and it's a beautiful day on Piscataway territory. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. You can share your report if you would like to see that.
Thank you. You sound very far away, but I heard to go ahead.
I'm here.
The Economic Empowerment Committee is looking for a volunteer from the branch membership to coordinate future interns. If anyone is interested, please give us an email at econ@ArundelCountyNAACP.org. I'll follow up by putting that in the chat. We want to encourage folks to access the branch's economic link tree. It provides up-to-date listings for all of the Chamber of Commerce that are active in our region, reentry support organizations, job opportunities, vocational, financial, and business training, access to capital, including grants, scholarships, and loans, and other resources such as eviction and foreclosure prevention, utility support, childcare support, etc. We'll also put a link to that in the chat as well. As always, we want to encourage folks to access the Arundel Green Book and source your needs from Black-owned businesses, organizations, and service providers. The branch itself, we're very proud to say, passed a motion, I believe it was last month's general body meeting, saying that all branch monies would go towards Black-owned businesses, organizations, and service providers as often as possible. The book currently boasts 305 in Arundel County-based Black-owned businesses, organizations, and service providers, and 501 total in the area. We will put a link to the Green Book in the chat after this report as well. We encourage folks to browse the book, and if you find anything missing or any information that needs to be updated, please email us at econ@ArundelCountyNAACP.org. And finally, I'll be placing a bit.ly in the chat to our upcoming financial literacy event. The branch is co-sponsoring a financial literacy and comedy event called Tickle My Money Bone. And fellow leader Shay Cook and founder of Crusaders for Change, I believe, is on site to describe that event. Shay?
I described it last year, last meeting, but here is the flyer. I'm going to send it around. Can everybody hear me? I can talk a little louder.
If someone can give Shay a microphone for remote attendees.
Hold on 1 second. She's coming.
No, it's fine. They got it on there. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm here. Good morning, everybody. You're beautiful people. Crusaders for Change is holding. Can you turn that down? Tickle My Money Bone event on April 29th, Saturday, starting at 6:30. I'm sending around in person the flyer from that Joanne Bond. Thanks to her, she created the ad for the newsletter. Please scan that QR code to get access to that. Thanks to all those who bought tickets so far. But again, it's going to be at 6:30 on April 29th. This is Saturday. We have 4 professional comedians coming out to talk about money, embarrassing, funny moments around money so you can learn, but we'll have mix and mingle at the beginning and then a wrap party at the end with food and drinks. So we appreciate all your support. We appreciate the branch's support, and we hope to see you there. So thank you, CJ.
Thank you, Shay, for your incredible leadership and expertise in this area. Okay, I see the floor.
Thank you, Ms. Michelle, for your report. We're going to go to the Education Committee. Now, I know that Dr. Dodoni had a report, but is she on? Because she did provide me with the report. Neither one. I see. Okay. All right. So. Sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, absolutely. Sure.
Hello, folks. I'm on the Education Committee.
Oh, good. The
only thing to me about the other day was to support the Children's Literacy Campaign Project. And so with that, I'm a member of the Nomads of Annapolis Incorporated. It's a 501c3 organization. We support Arundel County Public Schools, Boys and Girls Club, and seniors. And because we're partners with them, I've requested from both the Nomads and also the Northern Arundel Cultural Preservation Society, who NCAPs, mostly educators, to help fund. We're requesting $2,500. If we get more, fine. Right now, I'm going to ask the Nomads for $1,000, and I'll see President Caldwell. She's going to ask the committee at our next meeting. That's the one thing that I'm working with Dr. Dodoni on with that committee. Nomads. Okay, it's not an acronym. These guys were fraternity guys and the Omegas. And they didn't have a set place to play cards, so they would go from house to house. And so when they came together to do this with the Nomads, there were certain things that the Omegas could not do as an organization, so they had to form a 501c3 organization. They just chose the Nomads because of what they did playing cards, of going from house to house. But no man's had its own connotations if you think of people in the desert. But the struggle is to still partner with Anne Arundel County Public Schools, Boys and Girls Club, and seniors.
Thank you, sir. Now, I had a chance to read Dr. Dillon's education report, and she's making a request here, and we're gonna have to wait to the executive board meeting present here to consider this request if it's concerning money. And as I shared before, there are 4 criteria I'm looking for whenever somebody requests any money. Anybody trying to get their hands on these funds for the NAACP for Anne Arundel County, you know, I listed 4 things that I'm looking for. You know, I want to know the purpose, I want to know the date, I want to know the cost to the branch, and also I want to know the benefits to the branch. She gave me a thorough report and she addressed it all. But, you know, she's not here, and because she's asked for money, it's going to, I would like to address this at the executive board meeting in April. And so at that point, we kind of leave this alone and proceed.
Excuse me, sir.
The next thing is
Mm,
okay, is it pressing? Because I would like to hold questions to the end. Is it a pressing question?
It wasn't a quick question, sir. It was just for you to repeat your last line, please. I'm sorry.
That's fine about holding the vote at the executive.
Yes, because a certain amount of money is being requested by the education committee, and she satisfied everything I asked people to satisfy for me if you're making any request for money. And I would prefer that we wait to the executive board meeting so she can address this herself and make the request formally by way of motion. That's all. So the next thing, we're gonna go to finance. Ms. Neva Stansberry, would you like to share anything from finance? Finance report? Yeah, Ms. Roman, okay, Ms. Roman, good to see you. No report. Okay, thank you. Want to share with them our meeting with our treasurer? Give them some more confidence in what I shared. Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate that. You already shared about freedom from Mr. Downey. Is there anything more you want to share, sir, about that? I see. Okay, thank you. Health fair. I know that Ms. Monroe is not here. I know she's out of town. Did she leave a report?
She left a report. Essentially, a lot of the community-related events. Ms. Scott Bailey shared some of those. So
okay,
those were some of those health items that Ms. Monroe had.
I see. Okay, great. We're gonna skip housing and labor and industry. Legal redress, as I shared at the executive board meeting, obviously those in the general meeting didn't benefit from this. Because I haven't had anybody to come forward to volunteer to the legal redress, Reverend Jones has been handling all complaints that are sent to us. As I shared at the executive board meeting, a lot of the complaints have nothing to do with, should I say, the NAACP getting involved, like somebody's dog is threatening them, and that's animal control kind of stuff. So I'm basically writing emails to respond to them to give them some guidance. And then sometimes they have deep legal issues and they need a personal attorney. So I'm kind of giving guidance like that, but I'm really looking for people to be on legal redress. You don't have to be an attorney to be on legal redress, but Reverend Jones will be available in all ways. I've been involved in law for almost 40 years. So any legal things come up, you know, I just Reverend Jones, something legal here, but most of the things are not legal. And so I'm looking for some regular non-attorneys to get involved, because a lot of times non-attorneys have a strong sense of common sense, and sometimes that's all we need with these matters. And so if it's of interest to you, please let Reverend Jones know, and please show up so I can see you and talk to you face to face. But I'm trying to fill this with some people who have a heart for other people, and things that seem minor to us are major to them at the time they're going through it. So you got to have a heart for people and have some good idea of where to direct them. If it's legal, I'll jump in, but most of it is not legal. So I actually, everybody consider joining legal redress. I've already communicated with somebody about that this morning, as a matter of fact. So I'm trying to get people on that to kind of, so to speak, deal with these complaints that are coming in.
I just want to add that a lot of what we need to do is be with people when they're at a hearing. And then we also do train people on legal redress. Legal redress has a whole, the NAACP is a long history, so yes, there's a very deep training for anybody that wants to be involved. And like I said, much of what we're dealing with in terms of the NAACP's participation is attending special education hearings, rent, tenant landlord dispute hearings, and those are the types of aspects of the legal field that we can be involved in, as you know, from a detached perspective. because as we said, we're not attorneys we can't be people's attorney.
Right.
Within the NAACP.
I'm thank you for sharing that, Mr. Wade, because that's what I'm talking about. Have a heart for people. Sometimes people just want to come and stand with them if you have time. You know, if you're not at work or something, go and stand with them. You know, at a hearing or something, and help them understand what's going on. As has been said before, the NAACP is not your personal attorney, and usually the NAACP doesn't get involved legally. It's something gigantic that affects the whole community and sometimes the whole nation. And so that's when the NAACP get involved legally. But you can give people guidance, and 9 times out of 10, that's what they need. Okay, so I ask that you consider joining Legal Redress, pray about it, and think about it, and let me know. Miss Davenport, Sister Davenport, membership. Does she ever? I had a report. I saw her report, and it's quite substantial, and it answers all of my questions as well. Is she present?
She is having. I just resent her the Zoom link, so she's not on presently. So
Okay.
go to the next committee member. So she,
I see. Okay, because we need to hear from her. She has a substantial request she's making. Next, we're going to go to political action. I know Mr. White mentioned something about political action earlier, so I guess you're going to try to add anything to that.
Not particularly. I just wanted to have Ms. Green, but I guess she's talking about the prison branch.
That's coming up here, 2 reports. So that's, you don't have anything else on
nothing else to add other than the region. I did talk about housing in the last meeting, and the comments are still open for redistricting and for the Office of Planning and Zoning. Met with the NAACP and wanted us to provide an opinion regarding North County, Region 1, Glen Burnie and Severn, Region 3, and the South Coast, which is Region 9. And those series of plans are the comment on feedback. The deadline for comment on the feedback maps is June 30th. So we need to, if you all have any opinions, please go to the county's website where you can see the regional planning discussions that went on. There were around 20 people in each group. Many of them were developers. Many of the people in those things were developers, so they have their own opinion. And the NAACP, I would say, the NAACP has its views on development. I think density is one of the things that we're looking for. Increased density, walkability, and affordability. Also, as we mentioned previously in the last meeting, down in Arlington County, they had an entire agenda around the right to return for African Americans that had been displaced, making sure that there was funds to mitigate any displacement that was going to be done in the name of development, having all of those emergency rental funds. So there's an agenda around that issue that if you make individual comments, please include those in your individual comment. And also, we definitely, as NAACP, it would be good if we submit our own commentary. We did submit one for Plan 2040 that was around fair housing, all of those issues associated with fair housing. And so this is another opportunity. And the reason why we have to be involved in this is because if there is development, the regional planning is part of the consideration. So there's a checklist that OPZ goes through, and they have to, and we need to have our issues on that checklist. But
do you have Region 7 in that as well?
I don't see Region 7. Okay. I see 1, 3, and 9.
Okay, I know. And the reason why I'm asking, let me see your phone, bro. The reason why I'm asking is because I'm on Region 7. Okay. The county executive had asked me, I've been the chair, but I had some illnesses and surgeries and a lot of healing going on. So I'm still involved, but I'm not the chair anymore. And we just now said something, we need to be involved. Not only with the NAACP, but for boards and commissions, everything, because the code language and words they keep using that keeps us out. I'm in the meeting and I was spoken. Region 7 it's mostly the Annapolis, Bestgate Road, Riva, Arundel on the Bay, Oyster Harbor area down like that. But they're saying things
And if we don't have someone in the room to speak to it, it would be glossed over. And when that meeting comes in June, okay, the deadline, they say, well, we spoke to everyone. No, we've had Black members on there, and some of them dropped off. And if you look, anyone missed so many meetings, white and Black, but the Black membership we had on this, they dropped off. And that was such a sad thing. We need Black involvement in everything this county does, everything. So, yeah.
Make sure, I'm assuming everybody has some email from Sylvia. Specifically about the zoning and comments.
Yes. Answer him directly, because right now it's too late for anyone to come on to these regions. This is a 2040 vision. If you don't talk to it now, we're not in the vision.
Thanks. If I have the email, I'll send it out to our membership.
If you don't have it, I'll forward it to you because I got it. And I was reading, it's pretty clear too. And so I'll forward it to make sure the membership gets it. This is critically important.
One thing you mentioned was Oyster Harbor. Oyster Harbor has been totally wiped out from Black ownership. There's the streets are named after Joe Louis and George Washington Carver. And it's white people on $1 million homes living in Black streets. Is that level, and this was a private Black beach. So that's the level of displacement that we've seen. Eastport, where we've seen that type of displacement, and all across. So it's definitely something that we have to be engaged in, that we have not been, and it's something that we all need to be creating language around. The more we talk about it here in these groups, the better we can get at communicating. We did have a member of the Youth and College Division was appointed in Region 1, Nashara, who was the former president. She was in Region 1, with several other Black people, but I did get the chance to communicate with her in a meeting. We were texting back and forth and strategizing on what to say, and she was interjecting because we couldn't say anything from the audience. So it was a very, that's the type of things that we have to do, especially if we're in the audience, because like I said, the people there are developers, and the developers want single family homes on 1 acre lots that sell for more than $400,000. And, that's not affordable for working class people in this county. And so that's definitely something that we have to be engaged in order to make sure that the countywide is affordable, not just in the areas where Black people are predominant, Latinos are predominant, that we already got a bunch of density, I would say, Region 7. And when I was on the Charter Revision Commission, we saw that Annapolis had lost Black population exponentially. And so that affected the redistricting of the election lines. So we needed to add more people into the Annapolis election. And so it had to come from somewhere. And we went up into Crownsville. So because so many Black people could not afford to live in Annapolis anymore, they have been, lost so much housing, there's been displacement. So the same thing is happening across the state. But housing is controlled by local boards, by the county executive. County executive wants to do a lot of things, but he's hamstrung by the county council, who is generally controlled by developers. So their funding is basically funded by developers. So this is a very complicated mass of political issues. But we have our fair housing is, Dr. King died on April 4th, and the Fair Housing Act was passed a week later. And because it was, the chair of the Rules Committee in the House was a Mississippi racist who said, we won't pass fair housing over my dead body. And then Dr. King was killed, and it was his blood that was shed for us to be able to have fair housing. And, Chicago was one of the places that he shed blood. And it was all about fair housing. And that's the level of retrenchment that white supremacy has around housing. It's the lifeblood of racial capitalism.
And just what you're saying right there, I'm gonna pick on Ralph, me. We're two older guys, all right? I'm 71, he's a few seconds older. So, but think about this, we're not gonna be around forever. Who are we training to come behind us? Who do we want involved in this? People who have the same interest, capacity, and reliability. But we need to have blacks involved in this. We need more black men on these boards and commissions. I'm on two, one for the state, American Commission on African American History, Culture, and Arts Council. I'm with the Region 7 thing. I'm tired. I'm tired. And so we need more folk. You know, we need more folk.
Understand.
Okay.
Let me say this, the zoning email from the county executive was very informative. And I'm gonna talk to Mr. Down and make sure we get that out. If you don't have it, I'll just forward. You have it?
I'll check.
Check. And let me know if you don't have it, because I can just forward it, because I've been trying to keep up with that. And so just let me know and I'll forward it if you can't find it.
Mr. Davenport is going.
Oh, Mr. Davenport, we're ready to hear from you. Oh, no, we skipped over Sister Davenport for membership, and we'll come back.
No, I'm on. Reverend Jones.
Yes, we hear you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm on.
You can share your report.
Okay, thank you so much. Apologize. Thank you, Antonio, I didn't have a link for the meeting today. I was getting the executive board meeting. Not to pull on the time, let me just go to the proposal that I sent to the executive board. I did not send it out to everyone else, but I will can do that at the request of the members. One of the things that the membership committee would like to do, we have a proposal that we would like to put before the membership, and very good. And that proposal is we want to recognize our two past presidents for their longevity and their service that they have done for the branch, and for not only the branch, for all of Anne Arundel County and even across the state of Maryland. What I'm proposing, that a membership committee is proposing at this time, we're proposing that we implement or we develop a scholarship in the name of Jacqueline Alsop and Gerald Stansbury Scholarship for Scholar. Very simple. And what we'd like to do here, the scholarship will be given during the Freedom Fund Banquet Award each year. And the amount of dollar we ask for will be a minimum of $1,000 each. Criteria, we going to use the same criteria that the Anne Arundel County School used for their scholarship. I'm on that board, and for the past 15 years, and we've given a scholarship to deserving graduating seniors. For us, we would like to give one male and one female, and the criteria for that, what you can see there is that they would be a 2.5 GPA. They would complete the application, and we'll also take into consideration the financial need for the kids, because we know that college now is not cheap, and $1,000 would be more of a book stipend than a scholarship. And then they would complete the application. The application you see below here is just a draft. We're going to kind of revamp that with your help. The name of this child, their address, phone number, what school that they're now attending, list the college that they have been accepted to, their current GPA, and all of their school activities, their community and church activity. And then they would be, what goal have they set for themselves and the timeline. And then we're asking them to write an essay, a page essay on, let me tell you who I am. And that scholarship will be judged. And membership, how we're going to get the membership members to be on the scholarship committee. We certainly have the president or the first vice, I think, whoever's in charge of education the education chair, we're gonna ask if she would serve on that committee, and anyone else who would like to, please just give me your name. We'd be more than happy to have you on the committee. And the application, we're hoping to give the scholarship this year in November. And then after the first year, the membership committee, we're going to develop some type of program that we can solicit donation from churches or anyone else that would like to do that. We haven't finalized, we haven't put that into fine detail yet, but that's what we're working on right now. But we would like to start the Jacqueline Alsop and Gerald Stansberry Scholarship for Scholars for the NAACP, and give that this coming November. So I move that that the body accept the proposal. And if we get a second, then I would ask anyone that would like to serve on the committee that you would see, give me the name, or Reverend Jones can appoint someone. That would totally be up to him. Now, this is a short application because by being on the scholarship committee for TAC, we find out that the reason that a lot of kids that do not apply for scholarship and grants is because for some reason or the other, they don't like filling out these long, drawn out application. We're not going to ask for what the parents make, because that's not, it is important, but we're looking at doing the kids. We want to make sure that we help or finance some young graduating senior and give them the opportunity to continue their education in a 4-year college or a 2-year community college. And I did speak with Ms. Alsop and asked her if she would agree for us to go forward with this. And I did not speak directly to Mr. Stansberry, but I did send him a note, and he and Mrs. Alsop said that they would be honored to have the scholarship name in their honor. And this would be, as far as I believe, would be the first time this has ever been done in the state of Maryland. There's no other branch that I know of that is given scholarship in the name of two past presidents. And the reason we select Mr. Stansberry and Ms. Alsop, because they have more than 30 years, a total of more than 30 years serving as our leader. And I think each one of you that's on the line or on the line by computer or video here, you can attest that both of these presidents have served us well. They've made us proud, and they have done an exceptional job in representing us. And I think this would be a great honor if we would name the two scholarship, the Alsop and Stansberry Scholarship for Scholars. So I move that the board and the membership accept the proposal, and we can move forward if that's the approval of this body.
Sister Davenport, I need some clarity first. Let me get some clarity first. You sent that to me and I had a chance to read through it, and there's some revisions that need to be made. You asked for my comment. I haven't had a chance to comment yet because I just read it. So am I correct in assuming that your motion is that we at least be willing to consider this new Alsop Stansberry Scholarship Award, and the revising of it and the finalizing of it is something that we will work on? Would that be a more accurate way to present your motion?
That is correct, Mr. President. What I'm presenting here is the proposal, and the proposal is given to the body to take a look at, and we can come back in May and with an approval, and that would give the body and members an opportunity to critique what you see here, and then send it back to me, and we can revise a final copy for the scholarship and have it ready for you at the May meeting.
I said that includes the amount that they're offering for the scholarship, everything. We're going to deal with the details later, but right now your motion is simply whether we will approve, whether we will second your motion and approve creating an all-SEP Stansbury Scholarship Award from NAACP for Anne Arundel County, correct?
That is correct.
She made the motion. Okay, you have a second here? Second by Tony. All in favor of creating, I'm sorry.
We have a question.
Oh, we have a question?
Reverend Morris, do you have a question for the motion or a question in general?
I have a question. It's in general. I'll hold the question.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right. So at this point, all in favor, oh, is there another question? I'm sorry.
I do have a question, if you can hear me.
Just a minute, Ms. Bailey, somebody else is asking a question.
Okay.
Earlier was getting people for the future. So I'm wondering if in this scholarship, is there any way to have the selectees give back by serving as a member in one of these committees for the NAACP for a couple of years, you know, as part of the criteria for getting these scholarships. That way you build in inherent succession for a service. Yeah.
Yes. Hold on. Sky Bailey had a question.
Yes, Ms. Bailey.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to ask about as far as membership, whether or not the student and or the parent would join, because that's what we talk about every single meeting, you know, trying to get more members. Well, this would be a great incentive.
Exactly. Thank you, ma'am. That's one of the incentives. Not only the parent, we're hoping that the school, we're hoping that the community, and this is one of the ways that we're looking for the churches, because when we send these applications out to the church and announcing the scholarship, we're also going to be asking for membership. So this is a way of incentive to improve or increase our membership on all levels, community level, school level, and even the kids. I think when the kids find out that there is a scholarship next year or the next year that they can apply for, then they would also be asked to join the NAACP. So the incentive is twofold, not only to give a scholarship, but to increase the membership in the Anne Arundel County branch of the NAACP.
I'm going to quickly add one thing. This is Ellie Gomez. The question did come up in my mind to what we were doing with regard to increasing membership. So I don't know if our chair has a proposal specifically to that point. I love the suggestion of connecting her proposal to a membership incentive or connecting leadership. But specifically, I want to understand, we are under-resourced, relatively speaking, and I wonder why we don't have more outreach to say brown people and white people to join us in our effort, because this room should be filled right now.
Well,
one thing I would share with you is that we in the middle of considering a way to reach out to a lot of people who are members, but they're not present, not active. And their members, some of the memberships have expired. And I'm meeting them at the banquets. Reverend Jones, I don't know if my membership still exists. If we're now trying to reach out to people who we have their names to let them know, you know, your membership expired on such day, you know, can you redo or something like that? And the people I run into who say, I was a member, but I don't remember anymore. If they would just renew and come, this place would be full. And so we have something like that in the works already in terms of reach out to all these past members whose memberships has expired. So that's one way we try to work on bringing the membership up. So that's I just want to let you know it is in our mind trying to increase the membership. And so in terms of what the first question came up, that's the details. So that's what we're talking about. So this is just a motion to create an Allsbury Stansbury Scholarship Award. So that's what the motion is. We got a second, correct? And so all in favor of that, create a new All-Sep Stansbury Scholarship Award. Could you please raise your hand? All in favor of that? A virtual hand, please. Okay, I see you, Mr. White back there. Okay, all opposed, would you raise your virtual hand? Because nobody's opposed in here. Any opposition?
Scott, are you for or against?
What was the question for Mr. Whitey? I think that Mr. White is speaking.
It's for the whole, Scott, are you for or against? I saw your hand raised, sorry about that.
Ms. Bailey?
I think
Did somebody call my name?
Yeah, just ask her, were you for or against?
Ms. Bailey, are you in favor of creating this new scholarship?
Oh, yes, I'm absolutely in favor of it.
All right, so it's been moved, it's been second, and we have approved of the NAACP for Anne Arundel County creating a new All-Sep Stansbury Scholarship Award. Okay, at this point, okay, all right, that's great. All right, at this point, let's proceed now to Prison Branch. Leah Green. Leah Green. Looking forward to hearing her report. Thank you, Ms. Green, for showing up. Have a good report, man.
Good morning. An accident Wednesday and a rental outside. I'm here to support you, President. I believe in what's going on here. It's a movement. And I also want to bring to the membership that this is history in the making. It's things that's happening now that has never happened before. And I want to, I'm learning, you know, things come into your life as lessons and blessings. So I'm here to pick up and learn so I can be the better I can be. I keep this position because I'm praying and hoping we get some young people coming here to take this to the next level. This movement, and I'm gonna keep that going, a movement. We are in a movement now. We need young people. We need to understand that we are failing for lack of information. The brother brought out about criminal, that's my thing, my criminal background. If everybody, I've never been to jail, my son, I'm the mother of a lifer, and I'm also president of Maryland Cure. And I'm here to say that the 2023 General Assembly, if I sound frustrated, I am, but it's due to lack of knowledge. I don't understand everything, but I understand some things. We are not engaged like we should be. We do not understand the good old boy network. And I'm hoping that I don't know how to say it I'm just telling the truth. We had many issues with bills that come down the pike. We in there strong, and the case in point he asked about was the Usman bill. That was a correctional partnership with, if you deal with the inside, behind the walls, you know we need that. That was going to be an independent episode where someone working with the general, they're working together, but they would be able to come into this prison and help correct some of the atrocities that are going on. And this was a bipartisan movement. The Senate bill went through 44-0, only to fizzle out like, no, if something happened. And I have to be honest, I'm on a mission to find out what it was, but there's no way you can have that kind of momentum and end up fizzling out like that. So we can see we're not there where we should be. So I'm telling us, myself included, and I'm apologetic because I'm behind in reports and things. These are lessons that we need to learn, and I do commend you, Reverend President, of making us be accountable. We have to be accountable if we expect to use this history opportunity, because for the first time, we got a female Black Secretary of Correction. First time. I never met her. I'm looking forward to it, but I'm hoping that this chapter would be ahead of the game and invite her to our arena, ask her what she would like us to help her do her job. That's respect. And I'm really pushing respect because I think that's what's lacking. Because when you approach the leadership with respect, they can't do anything but respect you back. They may not like you, but they will respect you. That's all you can hope for in this arena. So it's some things that I happened to the husband bill did not do as well as I expected. Carolyn Shrugs is the name of the new secretary. And I also will be looking forward to a 2023 report. The General Assembly report, the final report I favor because we don't need sidebars. The report I have the legitimate what happened. So I think we should wait for that. I don't know how many pages, but last year was 248 pages. So, but I'm into the judiciary section of it. But of course, you know, it's a big picture here. But I would love to see this chapter be ahead of the game with understanding the prison justice, the prison correctional center system is really in need of what we have to offer. So I think I don't want to take up too much, but I'm just hoping that we would look on this as a movement and also blessings and lessons. We all can learn. I'm looking to tap into the colleges for the criminal justice departments of these colleges for interns. I need help with what I do. So I'm just coming in, I'm just gonna be upfront and say, I need help. Everybody need help to get something done. We don't, it's not this thing is bigger than anybody in this room. To me, it's a history in the making, and all, what is it, 4 or 5 positions are history positions in Maryland. I don't think we should let that go. That's what I'm saying. This is our time. So I'm looking for help, and I'm hoping that we can all get off of it. It ain't about none of us in this room. This thing is huge, and our young people, we gotta get them. We have to help them.
Let me just say this. I hear you loud and clear. And what we're asking you to do, because obviously people who have children in prison and things like that, you're not really on top of this like you should be. So what I'm asking you to do is, and I've asked this of all of the committee leaders, give me a report. It could be as short as a page, and let me know what it is that you need the branch to do. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not really monitoring criminal legislation like that. Even though I do represent people who are in trouble with the law at times, but I'm not on it like that. So if you'd be so kind as to give me a report each month, put it together, and then after you get the report, you have a section that says this is what we need to do. ABC to show up or here we can do, and just be real specific. And I will read the report. I'll read the reports, but give me some specificity, and then we can work with that. That would kind of give you some help. I understand what you're saying. I see. Okay, that's all I want to share. Thank you very much for your report. I've been waiting to hear your report. Don't forget, put it in writing for me. Now email it to me. Okay. All right. I see. It's a pressing question. Okay. All right. Come on, Dr. Gomez.
We are not connected with individuals with economic power. What about an invitation specifically from our president to the chambers of commerce to join the NAACP?
Now, I believe that the economic development.
Ms. J. Cook is our current representative from the branch.
You got something you want to share with Dr. Gomez about that?
So we have a committee for that, the idea, and they are trying to be part of that, but that's a long time. So there's been an ask, and we are involved.
Okay, you get the point. It's a sidebar type of thing right there. Thank you, Ms. Cook, for giving us that little indirect clarity. We appreciate that. Okay, at this point, there's nobody for public relations, religious affairs, nobody there. I'm working on that. I want everybody to know. I plan on appointing somebody to religious affairs in very short order. Youth advisor, Mr. Whitey, do you have any? You already shared the executive board member. Want to share anything with general membership about that?
Well, no, we need another youth advisor. So, you know, we can get a youth advisor to help build up the youth and college division again. That would be great. And I think, you know, Reverend Marguerite did a wonderful job organizing. So people who are connected into youth communities maybe will be good. The state conference president for the youth and college division is a man named Dorian. I can't remember Dorian's last name, but he's very, very good. And Dorian is he's a graduate of Salisbury State University. He needs people. We're not the only branch that has suffered with youth and college division during the pandemic, you know, and so there have been several branches that have fallen off due to lack of participation by young people. So, and I don't put that on all the young people, but I definitely put that on some of them. So, you know, we do need people, and we need a good youth and college division advisor as well. So, be able to help you if you need to get connected in.
Can I share this too about the youth, getting the youth more involved in the NAACP youth college division? This is a task, everybody. You got to really focus on a youth, spend some time with them. I'm a pastor of a church. The youth love Reverend Jones. They hugging on Reverend Jones. And if doing that in college, I can't get them to join. And anything else I ask them to do it. But for some reason, I can't get them to join. They don't see the connection between how important it is, because most of us, we're going to be dead in about 50 years. And they're the ones who are going to be carrying this forward. And so I'm just saying this, I underestimated how difficult it is. They're so involved in it. It's that they get most of us, it's a task. A pastor can't get it. But until you love me down my coattails, I can't get it done. We got a task on our hand to get the youth involved. I'm still trying. I was able to get mother to join. So I'm hoping that was my way. I'm kind of used to mother prayer and trying to get to them that way. But it's very difficult. And that's why I believe our youth and college division has fallen down. It's hard to reach and they're involved in so much stuff. Yeah. So I just want to put that out there. We got a task on our hand.
You have to connect them with their self-interest, right? So this has come up now multiple times from multiple people. Unless we message that this is an advantage to you in X, Y, Z, they're not going to do it. Yeah, I know young people. I've got, you know, a 20-year-old. They're not going to do it unless you can clearly articulate this is a benefit to you. You can put it on your resume. You can say you did this. This will help your college application. This will help your technical career. This will help you get a scholarship. That's how it has to be messaged, or they're not going to do it.
That's not what the issue right now is, that the NAACP is not in their face. It's not in their, the issue is that we're not in their school. We're not with them in their battles. They are battling every day with all of the issues that we're talking about. It's not messaging per se, as much as it is being beside them as they deal with a teacher who is giving them discipline and not giving the white student discipline, giving them a second class lesson while giving the white student AP. So then that's
the messaging.
No, what I'm saying is the message is one thing. It's just us as an organization that's where we focused on policy related, very high level, a lot of issues that we focus on. We have to be in. That's what the Be Present initiative is really, one of those methods of being able to be with them as they're trying to respond to fights amongst each other. So that's like my own kids. You see what I'm saying? My own kids are like, I'm reporting kids for being racist. My daughter is reporting another student for being racist towards her in class, but yet won't join the NAACP. You see what I'm saying? Like that's how, disconnected we are as an organization, from the minds of young people.
I think we need both messaging
Oh, yeah.
and involvement. So I don't see it as
Yeah,
either or. I see it as and.
You're right.
And I will share with y'all, I even was offering to pay their banquet ticket, these young people in the church, just come, I'm gonna pay for it. They would come. I couldn't get them to come free. They're so involved. I'm just trying to paint the task in front of us because this NAACP is desperately needed, and they're gonna learn that when a lot of us start dying off. They're gonna learn how invaluable it is. And so I'm trying to get them to see it. So just some suggestions. Okay. Okay. Reverend Morris, you got something you want to share?
First, no, Reverend Morris is not going to take on the youth, but it is a lot of work. I want to say that. I want to say that it's not impossible. I've done it for years, and I'm very happy to say that I still am approached by youth that were with the NAACP and events, and it's awesome to see how they're growing into, moving into who they are as people. But there's some issues that I think the NAACP nationally has, and we don't have time to talk about it now, but these all have to do with the reputation that the NAACP has with you. They have to do with connecting them where they're at, not just to get them to a meeting, spending some time like a bus going to nowhere that they can just hang out at, meeting them where they're at and letting them express themselves. And I'll just say this, I think one of the most successful events was the Black, many of you remember the Black History Month celebration that we had at Kingdom Celebration Center, where they literally, you could not squeeze in and police lined the walls. That was because those youth were allowed to be themselves and bring their giftings to the table. So I'm just saying it's possible, but it's going to take somebody with a commitment to not be, I don't know, just to be where they're at and allow them to be themselves. That's Reverend Morris' little nugget for today. It's possible,
thank you,
but you have to do it. You have to do it, or there will not be a future of this organization or any organization.
Thank you, Reverend Morris. I think we got the picture here. Messaging, involvement, and just continue to stay focused on trying to bring them in. After this, now we're going to have the win. I'm assuming Miss McKinley's not here. Miss Kinley, excuse me, not here. Okay, here's the unfinished business part. As the reports went forward, if you wrote down any questions that you have for any of the chairpersons or who gave the report, now will be the time to ask those questions if you have any. If not, we're going to proceed to a new business. Any questions? Okay, fine.
I do have some comments, and I know it's been a long meeting and it's been a good meeting. God bless you all. A couple of the comments I have is that I hear that there's not complaints. And I want to ask, what are we doing about outreach to community? Because we do not live in a community where there are not complaints. It's about those complaints getting we have to be realistic. The organization has taken hits, not because of anybody personally, but we've taken hits and we've not done well historically in all places to responding to complaints. I think the organization has grown in the last few years and doing a great job. But what are we doing right now? Because there should be complaints. And are we making ourselves present to respond to the individuals? Like we're going to be in the halls down at the MG, at whatever. Where are we at in community, reaching people that have concerns and complaints as the NAACP? That's my first question.
What are we going to be doing? I think one of the things that we're doing is we're trying to reach out to all these people whose memberships have expired to get them back involved. And we need people to show up and be involved in the various committees. Everything begins with membership, that's active membership, not passive membership. That's the way we reach out to the community. You can't expect Reverend Jones to be at everything. I'm a full-time person lawyer and full-time pastor, so I won't be there. But if we had enough people here, I could ask somebody, is it possible for you to do that if you're not at work or something along those lines? And we could show up. It all begins with membership and commitment to show up. That's where it begins. You have another question?
Yeah, because we really have to, again, I know time is precious, and I think we're talking two different things. Membership does not have to do with being there for community. being there for community, in my personal opinion, will bring membership. So I have two asks. One, I'm going to send you, it's about us working together. If we're really talking about the betterment of community without personalities getting in the way, I want to send you that comprehensive CAS report and ask that you would review it, and if you would approve it, to disseminate it down through your membership, because it's a true picture of where we are as a community with police accountability over the last few years. And that is where people are hurting. That is where they're hurting at. So we won't get into that, but that's critical. And that's two different things. Membership does not have to do with being there where people know that they can come to us for assistance. And so, but I hope I can send that to you. The other thing I wanted to ask about, I have something that I'll send to you in writing, but I want to ask right here before I know we have a few on the line. I came to you asking about the NAACP in my case. And I'm saying that because this case is still relevant. They've been there with me through the years. On this line, if he's still here, President Tillett, President Alsop, President Stansberg, all of them. Now we're at a pivotal point where all that stuff has come to the head, and I came to you. And so I'm asking now, right now we have a police chief who's refusing to meet with me, who's refusing to list my daughter's case, and this is coming up on the anniversary of her death, as unsolved. And I want to know where the NAACP stands on that, and do I need to get more information out for people to understand that? We have a police chief after a decade battle, death certificate change, that stands against the testimony of another police chief and other persons that are experts in their field of study, with refusing to list this girl's death as unsolved. That's a tiny ask. Where do we stand as an organization with Reverend Morris right now on something like that, as tiny as that?
Okay, let me address that, and then we'll go to the other questions. Number one, first of all, I said membership and commitment and showing up. So I didn't just say membership, commitment, and showing up. Then we can show ourselves present in the community. So that's the first thing. The second thing, as far as Chief Watt is concerned, I think I've addressed this with you multiple times, Reverend Morris. I don't know if Reverend Tillett or Reverend Alsop actually set up a meeting with the Chief of Police to talk about this. I did that. And I shared with you already, and you keep bringing this up. She does not agree with you. Period. That's the end of that. There's nothing else. I can't force that woman to do anything. She does not agree with Reverend Morris. I have nothing else to share about that. Now,
you know what?
You
know what? You can call a point of order. This is what I'm talking about. You have a girl that died because of misconduct by police, and you have the audacity to sit here that the chief of police told you whatever, and you're going to leave it at that. And even Reverend Morris, who has been a supporter of this organization for umpteen years, you're not standing by her side in that space of where you say, just stand by her side and let her know you're present.
Reverend Morris, I've met with the lady. I don't have any more to share about
you
that.
can do more, but this is one of the things, and I'm saying it. This is one of the things that we have got to come together as an organization. You want me to be quiet and be in a point of being in order, and you're sitting here saying that you don't think that they met with her. You don't think that there have been press conferences. Check the history on that, sir. Of course there have. Gerald Stansberg went with me and my husband before he died. Before my husband died, Gerald Stansberg was the first person to go with me to the police chief. It does not mean that police it does not mean that the police are not in error, sir, in this. This is a stronghold and it's an abuse of power. And I'd ask you to give me a better answer than you've given me on today. Okay. It's an abuse of power.
Order, I have to make sure I monitor the meeting. At this point, Reverend Morris, we heard what you said. Everybody heard what I said. At this point, we're going to see if there are any other questions because we're about to wrap the meeting up. Are there any other questions?
Reverend Jones, Christine, to Reverend Morris. Reverend Morris, I heard, and I think we were following your case for some time, and we are supporting you. But at this point here, give us a good Reverend, what would you like to see? You know, you're asking us to stand by. What would you like to see the NAACP take on? What can we do? How can we help you? So would you just kind of outline a little script that I would better understand, because I was following this case with Kathy for some time. But what would you like for us to do? Let's give us a quick little scenario here.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you so much for asking that question. Currently, you have a chief of police through an abuse of power. The only reason that she's refusing to list a case that is now listed as unsolved. The medical examiner says they do not know as of 2021 and 2022, hear me well. The death certificate says they do not know where, when, or by what manner my daughter died. So the ask to the police chief was to simply list the child's death as unsolved. So I say to you all right now, what the hell is the problem with that? You have a chief of police who wants my mouth. Hold up, this is my child.
Okay.
You have a chief of police who wants,
Morris,
because of my mouth, because of my
Morris,
because of my work in the
excuse me.
community. I'm responding to, I'm going to back up, sir, but give me a moment to finish the responding, please, sir. Because of, I believe that because of my activism in the community, she's using this as a point of retaliation.
Hey,
I
Reverend
need
Morris.
them to know that you all are standing with me in that space. Thank
Reverend
you.
Morris, based on what Ms. Christine had asked, if you could be so kind to supply that in writing, not only to Reverend Jones, but Executive Board, if you please put it in writing, you know, since we have new leadership and officers, put it in writing, and then we will get back to you.
Here, Mr. Downey, you said there was somebody else with some questions from the reports that we heard today. Any more questions, anybody else? Okay.
Unfinished business. Did the executive committee discuss the possibility of having monthly chapter lunches or dinners at a Green Book restaurant to give members opportunity to network and brainstorm?
We have not done that. You can reduce something to writing and propose it for consideration. People have ideas for the NAACP. I ask them to show up and talk to Reverend Jones face to face. And if you can't do that, please reduce it to writing for consideration. Are there any more questions?
And Reverend Jones, Christian again. Reverend Morris, we don't want you to feel that you are fighting a battle by yourself. And I think everyone that's on the line that have children, grandchildren, they feel what you're feeling. So we don't want you to think that you are standing alone or you're fighting alone. We just need to know what direction that you would like for us to move in. And I think if you can put that in writing, and maybe by the next meeting, I would even like to see a committee, Reverend Jones, once you send us in writing and how we can help you, that we come together and we talk as a unit and as a group. And you know what they say, more hands together get more work done. So I think you put it in writing, and at the next meeting, if Reverend Jones will let you have the, you can have it in writing then, and then let's get together and see how we can move forward. And so you won't feel that you are alone in the situation.
Reverend Davenport, thank you for your ideas, dear, for consideration. We saw another hand in here, Sister Cook.
Like family, she knows my mom and dad very well, so I feel your pain. But any final? Okay, so work with you, Ralph, or Antonio? The sponsorship.
I was waiting for a motion for the NAACP to support it the same financial level we did last year. I never heard that motion.
Oh, okay. So you want me to motion that? I didn't know CJ was gonna do it. Okay, Antonio.
In regards to the NAACP supporting this year's Tickle My Money Bone event, I make the motion that we support the event as a branch in the amount of $250.
Second.
Second by, what's your name, brother? Cornell Jenkins. Then seconded.
All in favor, vote. Raise your hand. All in favor.
Aye.
Online. Everybody. Anybody opposed?
Aye.
Okay, the motion has been made and passed, and the NAACP will support the Tickle Money Bone event at the same financial level that we did last year. Okay, at this point, are there any more questions before we wrap up the meeting?
Can anybody hear me? Hello? Hello? Can anyone hear me? This is Larry.
Okay, Robert. Brother Diggs, go ahead, ask your question, brother.
Greetings. I apologize. First of all, I am as I understand, I'm a paid member of the NAACP of Anne Arundel County. And it's the first time I joined an NAACP since 1960. And I'm proud to be a member of the Anne Arundel County NAACP. And it goes back to when Honorable Jackie Alsop was there. And I was so compelled to join by her activism. It just awed me. And I thought it was extraordinary. And now with Reverend Jones, I think it's the same compelling feeling continues. My question is, Reverend Morris, are you still there? Reverend Morris?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Good morning, Reverend Morris. Larry Diggs here. I am extremely familiar with your daughter's situation and how you've been working diligently to try to get that turned around. As I see it, a couple of things that have occurred in the past 4 years that have demonstrated that in some way legal action is required for that. A court action, it could be a court of appeals or a appellate court, or excuse me, a civil court, or even now we have a new district attorney, Anthony Brown. It's probably time to speak truth to power. Anthony Brown is our new attorney general. We have a lot of courts now that are strikingly in our favor. And I think, as I perceive it, court action might be required to have that done. United Black Clergy, NAACP, Caucus of African American Leaders, National Action Network, we can all stand united to compel and force and otherwise cajole the county police commissioner to do it. She's not going to do it. So now she probably has to be forced to do it by virtue of lawsuit. And I think that's probably going to be the next formal step would probably be a lawsuit. And I just want to touch base with make that comment. I have another comment that I wanted to make with regard to membership. The year was 1959. I was a junior in high school. The NAACP was 51 years old or 50 years old at the time. And I recall membership then. I also recall membership. My mother was a member of the NAACP back to when she was a kid, and she passed away 10 years ago next week, and she would have been 106, 104.
Brother Diggs, you got 30 seconds, brother, if you don't mind. Okay. I appreciate it. I love you.
Quickly. What I'm sensing is that 1969 there was a bigger shift, and there was a bigger decline after the Civil Rights Act and after the Voter Rights Act. There has to be something compelling, something like that word is populating my vocabulary this morning. But what we have to do, as I see it, we have to probably bring together a youth forum to ask them to solicit their ideas, because like I forget who was it that said, and it's probably could be Sister Davenport or one of the gentlemen had said that or there was a lady, I recall saying that these youth have to buy into it. I think the gentleman that said his daughter's 20 years old. And I was and I joined the NAACP in 1959, 1958, because there was action. And after I graduated high school and left college, I found that it wasn't any action. And I didn't join the NAACP until 2021. So it gives you some idea as to what I saw that turned me on. It made me, compelled me, forced me to join. And I think that's going to have to be, it would be, if it's possible, for the Anne Arundel County NAACP to hold a youth forum to bring youth together at some major venue. A school, could be a church, to solicit their ideas. but I'll stop right there. I'll put a bullet. I'll put.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I think you made your point pretty eloquently, and we appreciate that. It's just that we pass our time. That's all. I'm sorry for cutting you off there.
No,
But
no
I think
problem.
we got the point. I think you made yourself very clear. We've asked Reverend Morris, somebody asked Reverend Morris to go ahead and put it in writing. And so we'll continue thereafter. At this point, unless there's any new business, I would like to get a motion to join this meeting.
Mr. President, Christine Davenport, I move that the meeting be adjourned at 12:01, 12:07.
Okay, I get a second? Second motion. Okay, the motion has been made to join the meeting, has been second. All in favor, raise your hand. Okay. The general meeting of the National Bar Association for, excuse me, National Bar Law. I've been a lawyer too long. The general meeting of the NAACP for Anne Arundel County is now at a conclusion. Thank you very much for showing up, everyone. For those who want to wait around for a prayer, I'll say a prayer in 1 minute, but I want to end the meeting in that way first. Okay, if you want to stay around. Thank you, Mr. Dunn. Thank you, sir.
And if anyone on the line that would like to be on the scholarship committee, please let me know. Just give me a quick text or call.
All right. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and hopefully you have a good day, good weekend, and we appreciate all that you're doing for the NAACP. We're signing off. Thank you.